Hello and welcome to our last maths lesson of the week. Today we are going to be understanding the inverse operation. So you'll be able to understand what inverse means, also understand what the inverse of multiplication and division is, and even create fact families using your knowledge of inverse operations. Okay, what does inverse mean? We've looked at this briefly in our previous lessons to help us check our answers. So can you tell someone what you think inverse means? So inverse means the opposite of something. For example, the inverse of add is take away. What is the inverse of multiplication? Have a think, we've looked at it this week. Of course, it is division, and the inverse of division is multiplication. It's just the other way around. Okay, here we have a calculation. So it says, what would the inverse calculation of 3 groups of 2 equals 6 be? So we know that this calculation is a multiplication calculation, so we've got to make it into a division calculation. When we are creating division calculations, we always start with the biggest number. So in division, the biggest number always comes first, which in a multiplication sentence is the answer. So it could be 6 divided by 3 equals 2, because we've used all the numbers up here. It could also be 6 divided by 2 equals 3. It doesn't matter which way round we write it, it still means the same thing. So using the inverse, we can create fact families. So here we have 3 numbers, 20, 5, and 4. Using these numbers, we can create 4 different sums. We can create 2 multiplication sentences and 2 division sentences. So for multiplication, we must use the small numbers first. So we could have 5 groups of 4 equals 20, or 4 groups of 5 equals 20. Now for division, can you remember what number we have to use? That's right, we need to use the biggest number first for division. So we could have 20 divided by 5 is 4, or 20 divided by 4 is 5. There are always 4 sums in a multiplication and division fact family. Can you have a go at creating a fact family for these numbers? We've got 28, 7, and 4. You need 2 multiplication sentences and 2 division sentences using these numbers. No other numbers should be included because these are the numbers we need. So pause the video here, have a go at making 2 multiplication and 2 division sentences. When you're done, come right back. Okay, let's have a look at the fact family. We'll start with our multiplication sentences. So you could have had 7 groups of 4 is 28, or 4 groups of 7 is 28. So they just switch those first 2 numbers around. Now for our divisions, where we use the biggest number first. 28 divided by 7 is 4, or 28 divided by 4 is 7. So for multiplication, the biggest number is after the equals, and for division, the biggest number is at the beginning of our sum. Well done if you got all 4 of those correct. Okay, your activity today is to create fact families. There will be a triangle at the top of your page with 3 numbers in. Now, some of these numbers might look a bit big, but you don't actually have to use your knowledge because you're not working it out. All the numbers are there for you. So, for example, in the first box, we've got 72, which is a big number. 9 and 8, and we need to create 4 different sums. So for our multiplication, we know that our biggest number has to be the answer. So both of them are going to end with 72 because that's the biggest number out of the 3. Then we can use the 9 at the beginning and the 8 because 9 groups of 8 are 72, and then we just swap it round. 8 groups of 9 are 72. For our division sentences, we know the biggest number must come first, so we can put 72 at the beginning of both of those and use the other numbers. So I'm going to do 72 divided by 9 equals 8, and 72 divided by 8 equals 9. So don't be too scared if the numbers seem bigger, but if you'd like to do an easier sheet, pick the sheets with the numbers that are a bit smaller, okay? Have your best go. Okay, our plenary for today. What calculation is missing from this fact family? So somebody's have a go with 2, 7 and 14. So we've got 2 groups of 7 equals 14, 7 groups of 2 equals 14, and 14 divided by 2 equals 7. What is the last sum that's missing? Have a think, pause the video, and see what you think it is. Well done if you said there was a division calculation missing and that it was 14 divided by 7 equals 2. That was the last missing calculation in this fact family. Well done for all your hard work this week, and I will see you next week.